My name is Margarita Velandia, and I am an associate professor at the Department of Agriculture and Resource Economics at University of Tennessee. In this video, we'll discuss how to use your farm records to develop enterprise budgets. We'll go through the general steps to create an enterprise budget and how you can use enterprise budgets to evaluate or project profitability of crops and therefore evaluate which crops offer opportunities for your farm. This slide clearly represents the role of enterprise budgets in identifying the stage you are in your reality curve. Some of us are in the naive enthusiasm stage where we may be thinking we can definitely make a profit by growing and selling tomatoes at the farmers markets until we realize we have to pay a $50 annual fee to participate in the farmers markets. We have to pay a $10 booth fee. We have to drive 30 minutes to the farmers markets, spend 30 minutes more setting up our booth, realize there are 10 vendors also selling tomatoes, and after sitting for 3 hours at the farmers markets, we have only sold 2 pounds of tomatoes. Enterprise budgets may take us from the naive enthusiasm stage to the on-track, somewhat hopeful stage without having to go through the rude awakening stage. So why should you develop and use crop enterprise budgets? Because crop enterprise budgets could help you determine whether resources and labor you invest in a crop are generating a profit. Additionally, crop enterprise budgets can help you project yield, specifically marketable yield, as well as products sold, income, expenses, and profit for a single crop per year. Crop enterprise budgets will have three major components: gross revenue, cost, and net returns. Costs include both variable and fixed costs. Now, if you're a new grower trying to identify those crops that may offer opportunities for your farm, enterprise budgets may give you a good idea about inputs you need and project product you need to sell in order to at least cover production and marketing costs. What decisions can enterprise budgets help you make? This tool could help you decide how much to charge for your products, which production practices will help you maximize your net returns given your location and particular conditions of your soil, which product mix will help you maximize your net returns, and other decisions such as the best way to sell your products. Some of you, when looking for crop enterprise budgets, have found those budgets developed by various university extension services. The biggest mistake we see many farmers making is to use these example budgets as they are, instead of personalizing them for their own farm. It is important to know that these budgets are only an indication of what a particular crop could average over time and location in terms of net returns. Furthermore, it is important to note that individual farm results could vary greatly from the university extension crop enterprise budgets because of differences in soil types, location, market, and managerial ability, among other considerations. There are two components that we need to look at when building enterprise budgets: gross revenue and cost. Gross revenue is simply product sold times price. Let's look at the price component of gross revenue. So, how do I determine the price I want to use when building my enterprise budget? There are three factors I need to take into consideration when setting my prices: cost of production and marketing, what customers might be willing to pay for my product, and competitors' prices. Cost of production and marketing are the first elements to take into consideration when setting prices. The University of Tennessee sample budgets for small scale commercial tomato operations selling at farmers markets provides a good example on how to build the variable cost side of your budget. In these sample budgets, we look at a small operation located in the East Tennessee region growing three vegetable crops, including tomatoes, and selling produce only through farmers markets. The land unit of this sample budget is a 1,000 square feet block rather than an acre. We assume tomatoes are grown in East Tennessee in the open field using plastic culture, and varieties grown for this example are traditionally round red determinate types such as Empire and Celebrity. Links to these sample budgets are presented in this slide. Now let's talk about consumers' willingness to pay as a component to consider when setting product prices in your budget. Price can be important or not important for a customer when making decisions depending upon customer and product characteristics. Producers should understand their target customers' characteristics, needs, and preferences related to the product. For example, what benefits are customers seeking from the product? What is in for them? What specific product characteristics would fulfill their needs? What are they willing to pay for the product? How important is price in their purchasing decisions for this product? Now, sometimes it is difficult to have access to information regarding customer preferences and willingness to pay. Therefore, tools such as the farmers market's price report may allow us to identify average prices paid by consumers at various farmers markets in Tennessee. For example, in this graph, we can see that average prices paid for tomatoes in Knox County were higher than those prices paid in Marshall County in 2014. These differences are associated with location that may determine consumer household incomes, level of education, and therefore willingness to pay for produce. Now, it is important to notice from this graph that there is price variation not only by location but also across the farmers market season. And that is something to take into consideration when estimating average prices for a specific product. On the top of this slide, you will see the link to the Tennessee Farmers Market price reports. We report these prices on a weekly basis for about 20 weeks. At the bottom of the slide, you will see prices reported. You can see that price unit may also vary, as some producers sell tomatoes on a per pound and some on a per basket basis. Identifying and evaluating competitors is imperative in pricing. Always the best strategy for pricing against competition is to know your cost of production and marketing. The characteristics, market share, and prices of competitors impact the market environment and therefore are an indication of prices that may be acceptable to potential customers. Competitor information may also help producers identify their own competitive advantage and likely place in the market. This can help producers decide whether their prices should be in relation to competitors. Should their prices be higher, lower, or the same as others in the market? Many farmers markets discourage vendors from undercutting each other on prices. This is especially relevant to markets that allow reselling or vendors that, for example, might be able to buy bulk wholesale produce at a cost lower than what the produce you can that the produce that can be grown locally. Differentiating your product from your competition can help address this problem. Furthermore, the reputation you develop for offering quality packaging presentation, and high quality products will allow you to maintain a higher price. So we talk about the price component of gross profits. We went through cost of production and marketing and how to estimate it in order to use it to make price decisions. We talk about the consumer's willingness to pay as a factor to consider when setting prices as well as the competition component. Now, regarding the second component of gross profit, which is product sold, you should set targets of the amount of product you expect to sell. Keep in mind that not all harvest yield will be sold, and that harvest yield will vary by scale, location, and production practices. A good reference point that could help you estimate harvest yields are vegetable variety trials. Results from some vegetable variety trials are available in the file in this link. Let's look at an example summarizing all concepts we presented above. We have three vendors selling tomatoes at farmers markets in this example. As we can see from this example, these three vendors have different production and marketing costs. The differences in production and marketing costs could be due, for example, to differences in production practices, varieties grown, and or marketing expenses. For example, indeterminate varieties will result in greater yields but higher cost for trellising. We can assume, for example, that vendor 2 is selling heirloom tomatoes. Although vendor 2 sold less product than any of the other vendors, his estimated profit is higher than vendors 1 and 3. In contrast, although vendor 3 cost is lower than other vendors' cost, his strategy was to set low prices to increase product sold. Indeed, vendor 3 sold more product than any other vendor, but given he or she did not understand cost of production and marketing, at the end of the day, this farmer lost around $434. So what things you should remember from this video? Remember that crop enterprise budgets are a useful tool to help you determine whether the resources and labor you invest in a crop are generating a profit. They provide a projection of the estimated yield, income, expenses, and profit for a single crop per year. Budgets are to be used as an indication of what a particular crop could average over time and location. Individual farm results will vary from these numbers based on soil types, location, markets, and managerial ability, among other considerations. Consider all costs when building your enterprise budgets, production, marketing, and fixed costs to estimate realistic scenarios.